Welcome to Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantell, a podcast for Momagers. The perfect platform for moms with the desire to raise superstar children without losing themselves. We cover all things parenting, self-care, and of course, business. The only place on the web where you can come to get the confidence, the knowledge, and the tools you need to raise your young mogul. Here's your host, Tamara Zantell.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantell. I am so excited that you're here, and I am so happy and grateful to once again bring to you an amazing mom, an amazing person, and some wonderful information and tips just for you. So if you don't know me, my name is Tamara Zantell, and I am the CEO and founder of Raising a Mogul. I helped my daughter take her small home-based hobby and turn it into an international brand. And what I do is I work with moms just like you that also have superstars at home that they want to get exposure, giving those moms the confidence, the knowledge, and the tools that they need to also raise their young moguls. I'm really excited today to bring to you a wonderful person that I have been blessed to meet along my way. And I just know that she is going to drop some nuggets and give us some things that we need and the information that we need in order for us to live our best life, in order for us to create the life that we want. That's the theme of today's show. I wanted to give you the opportunity, create a moment where you can slow down, think about yourself, think about the journey and how it relates to your child, and most importantly, how it relates to you. What is it that you really want? What are you working so hard for? You know, let's take all those things, let's break it down, and let's talk to Dr. Tiffany Stewart today. So Dr. Tiffany Stewart is transforming lives one person at a time. She is a life-changing success coach, a therapist, and a tenured associate professor. She's a forceful speaker who has been blessed to share her influential vision of creating the life you want through faith, personal development, and academic excellence. That is amazing, isn't it? But the most important thing that I have to say about Dr. Tiffany that I want you to know is that she is a mom. She's not just any mom. She is an amazing mom. And she is going to share with us a little bit about that experience. Hello. Welcome, Dr. Tiffany.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you.
I'm so grateful to have you. And I am really excited for the moms that are listening, just whoever, the people in general that are listening, to understand how important this is to me because, like I said before, we have connected and I have just been so drawn to you as such a positive person and a person that really has helped me see the other side of things, if you will. You know, sometimes, you know, a lot of times life is not easy, you know, and we have our own personal struggles. We have our struggles with our career. We're trying to be entrepreneurs, some of us, and it's just not easy. So when you connect to good people, when you connect to good people, you hold on to good people. So that's why I'm really grateful that Dr. Tiffany had the time and the desire to come and share with some of you and share with me, share with us a lot of her expertise. So, Dr. Tiffany, let's dig in. As I said, you are Dr. Tiffany, and I keep saying that because I'm so intrigued. I am, you know, and I love that your foundation is one of your foundational principles is education, obviously, right? And I feel like a lot of times as we're going along our journey, at least with me personally, I was always really into learning new things was a really big part of who I was as I grow. Even now, like reading is important, exposing myself to opportunities is super important. But yet I never went all the way, if that makes any sense. You know, I never went, like when you're little, you're like, oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be this. I want to be that. So, you know, I went to college, got my bachelor's degree, majored in business, get the job, and I'm done, kind of, you know? So tell us a little bit about your educational journey and what that experience was like for you.
My educational journey has been interesting, to say the least, because I myself have always been a learner. I tell the story all the time. I don't even know how I got out of high school. So I just was not interested in going to class very much. I was an average student to put it lightly. And
Wow.
and I just came from a place where education wasn't something that was really, really valued in home or even in my neighborhood, in my environment where I lived. And so, of course, I heard all of these things about education, and you can be whatever it is that you want to be. And there was something about that I didn't believe. And so when I graduated from high school, I actually didn't even go straight to college. I took like a gap year because I'm an overachiever. I took a 1.5-year gap year.
I love that.
Trying to figure out who I am or who I was at the time. And I just was, I was partying. Because I'm from New Orleans, and so that's what we did. Partier. So after spending about 1.5 years, what I was doing now since I was out of school. And so I didn't have anything to say to them. So I got this bright idea that, let's go to college. I said this to me and my best friend at the time, who was hanging out with me every day. And I was like, hey, got this idea. Let's go to college.
Right.
So to think that, we're doing something really, really great here. So so I brought that idea to her thinking that she was going to come along with me. And she was like, no, I'm good. And then I went ahead after, trying to convince her, but I still went ahead anyway. But it wasn't my intention. Even though it wasn't my intention to finish, I just was really trying to be there. Just be enrolled. That was it.
Right.
And so the first year of college is interesting because I spent the first year of college in remedial courses because I had learned down so much in high school.
Wow.
So the first year of college really didn't even count, right? Because I was in remedial courses. But that second year, when I got into my actual college courses, I had a professor, and her name was Dr. Leary, and she was a Black woman. She looked like me, reminded me of me. And she came into the classroom, and first thing that she said was that when I was in high school, my grades looked like the alphabet. And she said, and I came from the projects. And I was like, it's me, and although I didn't come from the projects, I wasn't very far from it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And she was like, you can do this. She said, you are no different from me. You are no different from me. She said, and this really is going to be the hardest part for you to get through your undergraduate degree. And from that point on, everything else is going to be a piece of cake.
Wow.
It was the first time that anyone had ever even implanted something like that into me that gave me the space to even think that this is something that I could do.
Wow.
And so from that point on, I started taking education seriously. And then I was like, I want to see how far I can take this thing. I really do. And because, I just didn't think that it was possible for me. So then at that point, I got really, really serious. And lo and behold, I actually did like learning. I became a learner.
It's like, wow.
Yeah, I didn't know it. I had no idea. And so I started taking my education very, very seriously. And on my journey, my educational journey, I just became like a sponge, and I wanted more and more and more.
Wow.
And so the reason why I wanted to become a professor, the reason why I wanted to become a doctor was really because of Dr. Leary, because she was the one who had implanted that in me. Right. And then it was a psychology course. And so psychology was really the only thing in school that ever really caught my attention. So I was like, oh, that's exactly what I want to do.
I love that. I love it. I love it. I hear you saying a few things, but one of the things that stands out to me, well, actually, there are two things that stand out to me. And the first is, like when you were in high school, the idea that you had this idea that you took to your friend, and like you said, she wasn't having it. She was like, oh, that's not for me. I think about how many young ladies would have stopped right there. How many young ladies would have just been like, oh, okay, let's go do whatever you want to do. Sometimes if we don't have a partner or we don't have someone to go with us along the journey or to experience it with us, that we're too afraid to just go ahead and do it on our own. So I think that's amazing.
Right. And that was one thing that stuck with me very, very early in my life was that everybody is not always going to see your vision, right?
Right.
And hanging out with people who don't want anything more for their lives make you think that it's okay for you to not want anything more for your life.
That's good.
I noticed very, very early that I didn't want to hang out and just be a bum the rest of my life. I knew that much. I didn't know how I was going to make it happen.
Right.
And so very, very early in life, what I realized was that I needed to be around other people, other go-getters, other movers and shakers who also wanted more for their lives. Because other than that, I was just going to be hanging out with people who thought it was okay to not want anything more.
That is pretty remarkable that you were able to identify that in yourself, or that you had those feelings so early on. Because I feel like a lot of women, a lot of us don't even get that, start to feel that or mature into that until we're 30, 40, or 50, sometimes 50 years old, or older. Or some people never really get it, because of the feeling of not wanting to be alone, or that feeling of just, wanting to just go with the pack or go with what everybody else is doing, and I think as a mom, that's one of the struggles that we have, or at least that I've had with my children is, trying to get them to be individuals and stand on their own 2 feet and make decisions, the best decisions for them, as opposed to the best decisions for their friends. When my son was trying to decide what college to go to or what sport to play, a lot of his decision making surrounded what the group was doing, what the rest of his friends were doing, so that's pretty remarkable that you were able to make decisions for yourself that early on.
And it's interesting, right? Because your show is all about moms and kids with their kids. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because this is something that I have been saying to my daughter, over and over again. And at first she really didn't get it. She didn't get it. But this summer, she got her first car and she got her job, and she's looking at her friends now and she's like, Mom, my friend, she just keeps talking about what she's going to do. And I don't think she's going to do anything. And that is not what I want for my life. Like,
I love it.
I want more for my life. And so she's starting to get it early.
Good. That's amazing. So let's talk about your daughter a little bit. So we talked about education and this long journey that you were on. Everybody knows it's a journey. The educational journey is not a joke. So we're talking about undergrad to grad school to getting your Ph.D. Share with me a little bit about what that's like being a student while raising a child, while raising a daughter. What is that like? What was the balance like?
Well, balance is something that's really, really important to me and in my life. And so I got married my senior year, the last semester before, or the last year before I graduated undergraduate. And so I walked across the stage and I was pregnant with my daughter.
Wow.
And it was very, very interesting because I had already applied to my master's program in Minnesota, which, by the way, I'm from New Orleans. So you have the bottom of the UMass and you have the top, right? So I was going all the way there. And I wasn't having my daughter until November, and I graduated in May. So I decided to wait until January to go to grad school, not go in August because I didn't want to have my baby in Minnesota.
Right.
So I still pursued my master's degree, but there were so many people who were like, including my family, particularly my mother and my sisters, who they were like, what are you doing? Why are you going to school now? Like, you have a baby. You have a baby, like, how dare you just be selfish and go to school? You should be home with this child. And my child came with me, mind you.
Right. Right.
With me, I wasn't leaving her. But, you know, it was very, very interesting because the dynamics changed greatly. And the messages that I was getting from people directly, both directly and indirectly, was that now that you have this baby,
wow,
you don't have to pursue, or you don't need to pursue your dreams or your goals anymore. And that was so, I say all the time, like, my daughter has been in school literally since she has been born, because there were days when I was in my master's program,
I love that.
Her babysitter couldn't keep her or whatever, and she would come to class with me in her stroller.
I love it. I love that. I love that.
Seriously, she would come to class with me in my stroller. All of the students in the class would pass her around, including my professor. He would hold her while I was up giving my speech or whatever, and doing my presentation in front of the class. She was literally there with me. And so I would be writing my papers at night, and she would be sitting on my lap while I was writing my papers. And then later, when I went into my Ph.D. program, so she was 2 months in my master's program. Once I completed my master's program, I didn't go back for my Ph.D. for 4 years. So, you know, I was getting her acclimated into school and everything, but then I decided I wanted to go back to get my PhD. So when I went back to get my PhD, she was 5 at the time.
Okay.
We left home again. We left New Orleans and we went to Ohio, and it's just the two of us, right?
Wow.
Nobody with us. It's just us. And it was so funny because my very first class in my doctoral program was a statistics course that I was deadly afraid of. But the course was until 11 p.m. at night.
Wow.
And again, this is my first semester, so I know absolutely no one in school or in the state. Let me say that, no one. And my daughter came to class with me. She came to class. I had a blanket for her. I had snacks for her. I had her little TV with her, the headphones, and she would sit there in class with me. And it was so interesting because it got to the point during my 4 years in my doctoral program, there were people who knew my daughter before they knew me. I would go into the computer lab and they would be like, "Hey, your daughter is so cute." And I would be like, "Oh, my daughter? You know my daughter? I don't even know you."
Because they're talking about it behind the scenes. They're like, "Did you see her bring her daughter to school today?" Right. I think that is remarkable. We're talking about resilience. We're talking about making a way, not giving up. Just the idea that so many moms would have just stopped, you know, and just would have been like, "You know what? That's it. Stopped. I'm done." You know, like, I got the baby to take care of. I'm going to listen to mama and them and just go ahead and stay here, get a job and take this 1 degree and just stand still because I have the baby. So we're not talking about abandonment because she came with you. And I love that she came with you. The idea of her sitting in class with you. I remember when my daughter Zandra was, when I decided to go back to school to finish, I remember walking across campus with her strapped to the front of me and going to meet with my professor. So I am like totally on board with this and I get it, you know, but there has to be something inside of you that brings about that sort of resilience, you know, creating the life that you want. It goes, especially when you become a mom, it pushes well beyond you, I would assume. So we're talking about not only creating the life that you want for Dr. Tiffany, but also creating the life that you want for your daughter. So all of this manifests early, you know, when you first decide, you know, realize that she's coming, you know, and you make the decision. So that takes a lot of foresight. So we're talking about setting, creating, working towards the life that you want, right? So it's not just like waiting for life to happen. You're talking about creating the life that you want while you have this child so that you both can live in a way that you want, you know?
You know, you talk about having a plan and having the foresight. And the interesting thing is the only foresight that I had was that I didn't want my daughter to live in poverty. Like, I came from.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to give her a better life. And I didn't know what that looked like. But at that point, it was for me, okay, I feel like education is going to be my way out. And I don't really know what that looks like. And so often we feel like we need to have everything planned out, step by step by step by step. And everything doesn't have to be planned out, because the one thing that I can speak on, and I know for certain, there are not many things that I know for certain, but this is one thing that I do know for certain. Everything will work out when you put one step, or you take one step and you put one foot in front of the other. Things will just naturally happen for you.
I believe it.
You have to be able to take the action first. So I wasn't someone who was complacent and sat around and wished for a better life, wished that I could have something different, or wish that I could give my daughter something different. I was consistently taking the action. Consistently, although I didn't know what the end result was going to look like. I only know that I had to move, and every single time,
I love it.
I made the move. God, the universe placed something and someone in front of us, and I was taken care of. She was taken care of, and we have been good.
Yes, I love it. This is good. This is so good. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I know there are moms, single moms specifically, listening to this, and they understand. They get it. You know, they could be a little conflicted by the idea of just moving in spite of, leaping out on faith. We hear it all the time. You got to take a chance. You got to just leap. You got to just jump. You got to just move. But a lot of times people's faith is not strong enough, and I for me, working with my young mogul, I remember the idea of me still trying to hone in and work on where I was in the world and how I showed up in the world. And now I have this child, right, that I want to be a success. We all want our children to be successful. But then when she gets involved and she wants to also be successful, how do I do both? That's a scary thing. You talk about balance. And so I was, how do you, as a mom, get over the guilt of I have to take care of me? Because we talked about this earlier. There's two ways that society tells us. So either you have the mom that I'm going to be aggressive and just do my thing. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to become a doctor. I'm going to become a supermodel. I'm going to become a great painter or an international speaker. And your child is at home being taken care of by someone else, right? Because I have to go and be great. Mommy will be back. So that's the one thing. Or my child is going to be amazing because she didn't ask to be here. So I'm going to give her the best life I possibly can. I'm going to work like a dog to make that happen. But in the meantime, I'm going to forget about me. So I make my child give he or she the most amazing life that I can afford or that I can create for them. But then I'm lost in the sauce, so usually it's one or the other. And the idea that you've been able to infuse both is pretty remarkable to me. So what would you say to the single mom out there, to the mom out there in general that is struggling with the two or trying to figure out how to merge the two together without the guilt, ignoring the naysayers and the backlash talking of the family that's telling you, what you should be doing? What would you say to her?
The first thing that I would say is some people look at this thing of balance as everything is going to be perfectly in balance, in unison all the time. And that doesn't happen that way all of the time. It really, really doesn't. And so there are some days when my daughter needs more of my time and I give that to her. There are some days when I need more of my time in order to replenish what I've been giving out so much so that I can be better for her and everyone else. And so even if that looks like me taking a bubble bath or reading a book or taking a girls trip with my girls, you know what I'm saying? Like, And so the thing about having like perfect balance all of the time, every single day, what I say is all things in moderation. That looks like balance to me, meaning that I'm balancing myself and I have enough of me, because I was Tiffany before I was doctor, before I was mother, before I was therapist, before I was anything. I was Tiffany. And I also know that when Tiffany is okay, my daughter is going to be okay. And the one thing that I was very, very intentional about is for her to see what a happy house looks like, whether it was a single parent house or not. Just because you live in a single parent house doesn't mean you cannot have a good life. And I was also intentional about, I didn't want to be that angry Black woman. I didn't want that to be the picture that my daughter had painted of a single woman, a single parent raising their child, right?
Right.
And so for me, I wanted to really model what I wanted my daughter to see. And that was that she can be whatever it is that she wants to be, despite whether she's a single parent or if she is married with children. You know, like, you can still be an individual and be a great parent, be a great person, be a great spouse, or what have you. But that was something that I was very, very intentional about with my daughter, because she needed to see me happy. And then she is able to find her happy as well when I'm happy. Because if mama not happy, ain't nobody gonna be happy. Right?
I know that's right. I love that. I know that's right. That is amazing. That is really amazing. So I have another question for you. I'm really intrigued about this intention. So we're talking about creating the life that you want, not only for yourself, but also for your child or your children, right? And it seems like intention keeps coming back. Intention. And I mentioned foresight, but I really want to know, so I'm at home, I'm frustrated. I have these children. I have this amazing dream. I have a child with an amazing dream. People need stuff from me, right? And I could possibly be overwhelmed. What am I doing on a daily basis to make sure that I'm being intentional about creating the life that I want? Like, what does that look like? Because I feel like, people listen to, life coaches, or they listen to people, they read books, or you listen to affirmations, and it's like, oh, if you have it up on your wall and you read it every day 5 times, your life is going to be amazing, right? So I really want to know, what, in your opinion, do you think we should be doing on a daily basis to make sure that we're on the right track, and we're intentional in creating the life that we want?
So I alluded to it before when I said that I have to be okay with Tiffany first, because I was Tiffany first. And that's the first thing. So many people, I see this over and over again, particularly from mothers. They put themselves last.
All the time.
But if you even look at a duck with their ducklings, duck is not last, right?
Right. That's true.
The mom is not last.
Right.
They follow the mama. What is it? The geese? It's the geese, right?
Yeah.
They follow.
I can just see them walking across the street. The mom's always in front. You're right.
And so your children are going to find a devil. And so I realized very, very young in life also that I needed to make sure that my tank was on deep, because when you are constantly giving of yourself, then it's really, really difficult for you to do anything well when you're on E.
Absolutely.
You don't do anything. You're not a good employee. You're not a good mother. You're not a very good spouse. You know what I'm saying? Because even if it looks on the outside like you are harboring resentment on the inside. And eventually that thing blows up.
Yes.
It blows up, right? And so when I say being intentional, I, on a daily basis, check in with me to figure out what it is that I need. Some days, like I said, it's just me taking a bubble bath by myself, and that's all I need. Some days it's me planning a trip without my daughter. Okay.
I know that's right.
And so, you'll keep hearing trips come up also because I love trips, but I love to travel. But, it's always me constantly checking in with myself. What is it that I need? And one of the things that I realize about myself is I need me time, right? You really need to figure out what that thing is for you and really replenishes you and, puts your tank back on full. But it's a constant check-in with yourself to figure out what it is that you need. And interestingly enough, when I work with people in a counseling session, most people don't even know what that is. What is it that they need? What is it that's really make them happy? It's fascinating to me because it's just like, to me, I do this every single day. But, a lot of people are not really putting themselves first. For you to be a good leader, particularly in your house, if you are not taking care of you first, you can't be really good to anyone.
That is so good. That is so good. It is so good. And you are speaking to me. The rest of y'all listening, but she is talking to Tamara, okay? Because for years, I did everything for everybody. I gave everything I had to everybody, and I always came last. I remember my kids were little. I literally wouldn't even eat until they were asleep. The house was clean. I, cleaned the bathroom. I did this, I did that. And then my reward was my dinner or my alone time or whatever, and or sometimes I wouldn't even get it done. If I didn't finish, it was like, oh, well, tomorrow I'll try again, and I suffered in silence because I put everything else before my own happiness, and I would have been that person sitting right next to you on the couch. Like, I have no idea what I need. I don't know. I want to be happy. What does that mean? I don't know, So thank you so much, Dr. Tiffany. This has really, really helped us. And I hope all of you that are listening have been able to write a couple notes down and really self-analyze and think about how a lot of this plays into your daily life and how it affects your children. We have to make sure we're taking care of ourselves. We cannot be a good leader if our foundation alone is not strong enough. We cannot give if we don't have anything to give. If our well is empty, if our tank is empty, if our vessel is empty, what can we give to someone else, right? So I believe that's a big part of what Dr. Tiffany is saying. We're talking about living on purpose, with intention and creating. We're talking about adding, taking away, molding, shaping, creating the life that we want to live as moms, right? So that then that can transition into us helping our child create the life that he or she wants as well. Because we cannot help them be great if we're still staggering around trying to figure it out, right? Together, we're stronger. And if you as a mom, if your foundation is on point, you're going to be unstoppable. We just heard Dr. Tiffany talk about how she was like, listen, they all said this, they all said that, but I took it upon myself to make sure that I was intentional with every step I took. She didn't say it was all easy. She didn't say she'd have to figure some things out. She said, I moved and I was alone. We brought a blanket and we sat on the floor. She had to figure it out. And I think a lot of times we stop because of the fear. We stop because of the unknown. We stop because he or she said. We spend a lot of time worrying about the process instead of just moving and allowing, like she said, God or the universe to kind of just work it out. If you don't move, nothing else is going to move. If you stay still, everything will remain exactly the same, right, Dr. Tiffany? So I think that's really important.
Let me just add this one note also, that when you are in a position where you are doing whatever it is that you are doing and you are raising a mogul, you are doing a disservice to your child by making them first, head, and everything of your life. You do them a disservice because that's not setting them up for the real world. Because when they get into the real world, they are not first at the forefront in everybody else's world. And so that sets them up for disappointment and like, oh my gosh, but I was always everything to my mom or my dad. I was always, why is this person not taking me seriously? Why is this person telling me no? It does them a disservice when they see you not putting yourself ahead of them and taking care of you. They need to know how they fit into the world also, because everybody has a space and a place, and it's not just
that's good,
right? It's not about them just being first in everything. And so that is my belief, that when you are only doing whatever it is that you're doing solely for your children, and you take you out of the equation, you're doing them a disservice.
I love that. That is excellent. That is right there. That's good. Thank you. I love that. I love that. So Dr. Tiffany, I have an interesting question for you. I am wondering about legacy. And this is usually when I like to end the show, and I want to talk about legacy and as parents, what we're hoping to leave our children. A lot of times when we talk about leaving our children, we're talking about something monetary or a pair of earrings or grandma's china or whatever. I want to talk to you about legacy. So your young mogul, what would she say your legacy is that you're going to leave her? Or what are you hoping to leave her in regards to your legacy?
So we're going to come back full circle, and it's that resilience piece. You know, you have to be resilient. You're going to get told no a million times. So many people are not going to believe in you. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough, and that you really can be whatever it is that you want to be. And you really can create this. You really can provoke your success. You really can do this, right? And you don't need anybody else's permission to do it. You really can do and be whatever it is you want to in life.
I love that. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Tiffany, it has indeed been a wonderful pleasure. Thank you so much for agreeing to spend some time with us and Team Raising a Mogul. I'm so excited. And I know that everyone that is watching or that has listened has really been blessed by the information that you've agreed to share with us, because I know I have. So I want to thank you so much for joining us. And I'll be talking to you soon, y'all, because I'm working on me. So Dr. Tiffany's going to help me get me together. Okay. Xandra's a whole nother thing. I got 5 kids and they're doing all right. Now I got to work on Tamara. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. No problem at all. And I'll be talking to you soon. So listen, everyone, I told you I was excited. And I said the same word like 40 times. And the reason why is because I knew, when you follow people and you watch what they're doing and how they show up in the world, you just know that what they have to offer is the real deal. So, we see people and they motivate us and they talk to us about getting your life together, get your best life, or watch me as an example. Dr. Tiffany did the work. She is doing the work. And that's why I was so drawn to her. And that's why I felt it really important to bring her to you today so that you could get an inside scoop, if you will, on what the work really looks like, right? When you're intentional, when you're working hard to create the life that you really want, right? So, and the Raising a Mogul platform, we're talking about raising superstar children, giving our children everything that they need so they can be amazing, so they can show up in the world amazing and become change makers, right? But that starts with us as the momagers, the dadagers, the parent managers, the guardians, the mentors, right? We're the ones that are going to set them up for success. However, we cannot do that if we are not strong in our foundation ourselves. So that's where the self-care piece comes in. And that's why Dr. Tiffany was here today to share with us. So I want to thank you for joining me on my Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantell. I am so grateful. If you want to get in touch with me, you can follow me at all things Tamara Zantell, and also join us in our private community, the Raising a Mogul community, at www.raisingamogultv.com. In the meantime, I want to leave you with this. I want to remind you to be intentional. I want to remind you to live on purpose. Think about the life that you want to create, mold, stretch, build, right? For yourself. Your child is going to get everything that they need, right? Now it's time for you to get everything that you need to take care of yourself. I ask you this, like Dr. Tiffany asked us, what are you modeling? What are you showing them? How are you showing up in the world? Because like I always say, your children, they are always watching. So that's all, folks. And thank you so much for joining me. Once again, I'm your girl, Tamara Zantell. I am a Momager coach. I help give you the knowledge, the confidence, and the tools you need to raise your young moguls. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Raising a Mogul with Tamara Zantell. If you've liked what you've heard today, be sure to check out other episodes at tamarazantell.com and join us in Raising a Mogul community at www.raisingamogultv.com. Looking for help on your manager journey? Does your child have a huge dream you want to support? Tamara can help. See you next time.